Ready?
Now that it's live. What up, everybody? We're about to start the show. About to start the show.
Go here. Do your share. And then
I'm watching this. What are you sharing?
Good morning.
what's up, brother?
And then I say, what phrase?
Yeah, I like the vibe, man.
Ah. What up, Chris?
Salsa bachata type of thing,
Yes, sir. Hey, man, we just jamming out to some Bob Marley this morning. Getting in our groove. Chris Connell, thank you for tuning in. I see you, Amy. Thank you. Good morning. We're about to go live here in just a bit.
Go live on Channel 5.
Go live. It's all reality, baby. We start when we want, but we will start on time. If that makes sense.
Yes. And then start watching.
What up, Chris? What up, Chris?
And then I can just mute this or turn it down. Right?
Yeah, just start all with that.
See who's watching with us. Okay, so we got this. Let's get this out of here.
Hey.
Morning, Chris. When you live, when you stay back. Hashtag sword. Thanks for the shout out. All right.
All right, man.
And I feel like everything's rocking.
Everything's rocking. Let's ride.
Everything's moving. Okay, let's turn this on in case we should feel a call or something of the sort.
Hey, amen, Chris. You do not need to go live when you stay live.
Turn
I
on
love
the
it.
mic.
Yeah, real.
I love it, man. Amen, Chris.
Turn on the mic.
Go live when you stay live. I love it.
And when you live right.
I love it, man. Actually,
Turn on the mic. Turn on your camera.
picking up this.
Oh, turn this off. Turn on your camera. This is your reaction. What does that mean?
No, you good. You good. You good.
Okay.
All right, man.
Buffalo.
5, 4, 3, 2.
All right, everybody. Welcome to the Realty and Reality Show on the Detail Did It Podcast Network. We're coming to you live from South Crown Barbershop at 1010 South Flores, as we do every Monday through Wednesday at 8:15-ish to about 9-ish, depending on how heavy the topics get. You know, it is what it is, Realty and Reality. So, my name is Patrick Hammonds. We're doing this backwards, and this is Chad.
D-Tank Cook.
Switching it up a little bit. Isn't that wrong with that?
What up, brother?
What up, what up? I want to remind you guys all the time, this is a true barbershop podcast. So
I'm going to get my hair cut after this.
I should get my hair cut after this. Although I've been riding these waves. Look at these waves.
I mean, your wave game's strong, bro.
It is. And I don't put a cap on. I don't put product in my hair. I think it's the half whitening or
The
something.
juice is in there.
I just brush it like
Juice is in
that.
there.
Just turn it like this. Woo! So anyhow, I might just keep rocking it. I don't know.
Yeah.
With that said, though, we're going to kick the show off. This is episode 19. 19. So I want to say thank you to each and every one of you for your support, your viewership, your listenership to the podcast. And I want to remind everybody that no matter what phone you have, Android, system, or anything, you can listen to us on any and pretty much, I guess, all podcast outlets. So whatever your favorite is, look for the Realty and Reality Show on there. iTunes, all of that. We're here. And we got some news to start off the day with.
Yeah, before we do that, let's switch that camera right here. Here's the reality session of our show, right? Let's switch that iPad to the actual Detail page. That way we can get everyone's comments to follow.
That's weird. I wonder if... Because I'm not watching still. I never fixed that.
Hey.
ADD.
It's all good. It's all good. So anybody, do you guys have things that you want us to talk about today? We have some exciting news, exciting content coming to the show today. One of our gentlemen that are joining us is actually the SABOR chairman of the board, 2019, Mr. Grant Lopez himself. He'll be in here around 8:30ish or so, and we'll have him on the show. While Patrick is fixing that, I'm gonna see if I can go through his notes.
I'm learning. Oh, I have no notes there.
Hey, if y'all can see this, this man has prescription handwriting.
I know I should have been a doctor.
And you guys know what I'm talking about. You get that prescription filled out from your doctor, and you're like, man, what is this? But then you bring it to the pharmacy, and they're like, yeah, you need
Where's the show?
milligrams of that. No, you're good.
I don't even see it.
You're good.
Do you see this?
There's a bunch of stuff.
It's just not on here. I mean, you know what I need to do? I know what my issue here is.
Notifications.
Besides my own issues. There we go. Leave this page. Return to this page. Watch
Anyway,
this page. Come on, entertain the people.
Grant, I see you. Good morning, Jennifer. I see you.
There it is.
Will, Patrick Hammond, you're watching your own show.
Whoop whoop.
Tish Lowe, good morning. Location.
I know, I love that.
Yes.
I love shticks or whatever.
Yeah.
Not to be confused with anything else. And yeah, I keep thinking about changing my last name to Price.
To Price?
Yeah, because Price sells homes.
Price sells homes.
And so does Hammond's. So with that said, I believe we've got it rocking the right way. Yeah,
We're
I
good.
can see everybody.
Now we got you up
Good
here.
morning, Jennifer Gonzalez Garcia. I like that. That reminds me of
Ray Lopez, good morning.
What up, Ray? Zakia, everybody. Thanks for tuning in each and every day. You guys are loyal listeners and watchers.
Yes, thank you.
So, I did have in the news that this morning it was cold. It was like 36 degrees.
36. Yeah.
I'm wearing this scarf, and I'm going to take it off though because it's ridiculous.
Where did the scarf? Where did that come from?
Keeps my
You
neck
didn't have
down.
that scarf on.
I know, I threw it on just for the show's sake.
Scarf.
Why you gotta call me out like that? No, so there was some important news that I believe we got an update on.
Mm-hmm.
More fashion designer,
Oh,
what I
yeah.
call jackery.
Yeah.
Jackery as in
I think
packet
they all-
jackals.
I think they all got together and said, you know what?
Let's be stupid today.
For Black History Month, let's be very stupid.
For Black History Month, let's fight back.
Let's fight back. Yeah, so you got blackface with Gucci.
And now we've got
Now you got noose neck with Burberry.
Noose neck with Burberry, or
I don't know what's going on,
lynching
man.
with Burberry.
Yeah.
So I don't know how many of you guys saw that or saw the noose necklace. I don't know how many of you guys want to wear a noose as a piece of jewelry. Yet I know I don't for multiple reasons, and I just can't begin to believe that they would do that. Now with that said, I know saying sorry doesn't fix everything immediately. They were quick to retract, apologize, and acknowledge what they did in the wrong, and I respect that. I respect that. That's all I gotta say about that.
Hey, man.
You know, you make mistakes and you can learn from them. Matter of fact, I did a post this morning, and it's just, I do a lot of reflection constantly. I'm journaling, I meditate, and in my reflection today, because I seem to fail a lot, which is good because it helps you succeed a lot,
Yeah.
I was saying that, you know, your mistakes can be looked at as the bars of a prison. And what we all know, or if not, we're about to, prison doesn't keep you locked into your cell because of the bars. It's truly the space in between the bars that keeps you in prison. And so if each one of those bars are your mistakes, the question becomes, or the solution becomes, put more space in between your mistakes, and you'll be able to walk right out of your own self-confinement.
Right.
And so I was sitting there thinking about that, and I'm like, man, that's real. You look like
Nope. No, I turned it off. No.
Yeah, yeah. You
No,
guys
that
might
was-
notice
no.
we're not rocking headphones today.
Yeah, I
we
turned
figured
it
out
off.
a new system, and
Yeah.
that it's not necessary anymore. Technology's great.
No, so I did see you go live this morning. I thought that was very strong what you said, and a lot of us do get in our own ways in that regard when we imprison ourselves mentally. And so, get out your way.
Yeah.
It's the moral of the story.
It's a mental
Yeah,
block.
yeah.
I mean, if you did something wrong,
Yeah.
you know, learn from it and move on. If you did
Right.
something right, definitely learn from it and stay with
Right,
that.
right.
But again, just remember that, guys. You're in a prison in your own mind, and you can serve life there if you choose to. I'd rather you guys just put some space in between those bars and walk right out. You don't
Let's
even
do it.
need a key. You can just walk right out. walk right out. And that's just the coach Patrick in me,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So I'm a
absolutely.
realtor, I'm a coach, I attempt to be a mentor. I'm always learning from others. I still fail, yet I fail forward. And like I tell most of my coaching clients, you guys will succeed in life and in business
Right.
if you do what I say, not always as I do. And then I tell myself that in the mirror too. So one day I'll start listening to my own advice.
All right, so in other news, celebrity news.
Ooh!
All right, so
I don't know why I dance like that.
Tr-
Celebrities!
Tristan Thompson, center for the Cleveland Cavaliers, has allegedly been caught cheating again.
Again.
It happened again. It happened 2 years ago. 2017, he was caught in a hookah bar trying to motorboating and cuddling with some with some female, and then he's also caught on camera going in. But this year, this happens to be Kylie Jenner's BFF, Jordan Woods.
Oh man, I thought you were saying it was Kylie Jenner.
No. It was the BFF of the fam. So, allegedly he's been kicked out. They broke up, and
Oh, man.
so it's kind of like a trend, right? Trend with him. But that's new.
It is, and that's
Yeah,
it is the thing with athletes and anybody with those kind of positions of power, and it goes deeper than that, and that's something that I've learned through some of my failures in my marriages. Yes, that was plural, folks. And yet it's true. So the question becomes, what's really going on? Is it a power thing? Is it an emptiness thing? It could be anything. And then I've learned that a lot of times when it comes to cheating, it has nothing to do with the act and everything to do with some form of emptiness that person feels in their relationship, or maybe some kind of drama that's going on. But I do wish that he seeks help, and I do hope that they can work it out if it's something to be worked out.
Maybe he and Chloe have a baby too together. So unfortunate, but that is news. In the news.
That's the sad news. That is the sad news.
Yeah, man. So what else you got? Market updates. You haven't given a market update
In like forever.
forever, bro.
Man, so here's a personal market update. Our listings are going into contract finally again.
Okay.
So I'm seeing an uptick in showings again. So here's your market update. It's tax season, folks. It is tax season. And so people that have been given the great advice are using their tax returns to get their down payment money ready, to get their credit fixed. And so if you guys are waiting for that tax money to come back, use it wisely. Don't go buy the newest Jordans, or don't go buy some crazy fancy clothes and cars. Buy a house. Buy a home, buy a home, buy a home. Because here's a market update for you. They're still not building land. It's not happening.
Yes.
And you know what's funny, as you say market update, let's put Grant to the challenge when he shows up.
Oh man.
He's the chairman of the board.
That's gonna be some good stuff, man.
How many listings are on the market today?
Ooh.
Don't know say. I will say that I saw there were over 15 homes and sellers that did not get their home sold with their previous realtor. I called every one of them yesterday, shot every one of them a text, and when they call back, I'm gonna change the market one hotel at a time.
So I heard an interesting stat yesterday, and I didn't know. Obviously, because of where we are in San Antonio, I'm completely ignorant to that fact. But property was on the market for over 1,000, or right at 1,000 days.
What price
Is that? I don't know what price it is. But is that a norm?
That is not a norm. So let me give you that. I can give you that much. What I am seeing is a 60 to 90 day process for almost all price points. Now, when you start looking at homes over $500,000, especially over $1 million, it's not atypical for them to sit on the market for a year and sometimes 2 years. And that was even when the market was like booming hot.
Right.
And it boils down to the marketing and truly just finding that right buyer.
Right.
I personally have an almost $1.2 million listing, and great home on right amount of land. It's an amazing home. And yet we're getting minimal showings, and we do get some showings, and it's based on its location. That's the feedback.
Right.
You know, some people don't want to drive out that far, that kind of a thing.
1,000 days, and I know that's not consistently with one particular realtor, because if it is,
Yeah.
so I know the overall history of the listing kind of passes down and gets inherited,
Yes.
and so
Yes.
but
I took
Yeah,
one of those. That
yeah.
video I was saying I took. If you
Yeah.
look at it, it looks like it has 600 or 700 days on the market,
Right.
and yet really it's only been with me for like 90 days.
Right.
Because it shows the full cumulative days on market is what it's called on our
Correct.
local listing service.
Correct.
And so yeah, I'm glad you recognize that. And so for the general public out there, please recognize that some realtors take listings that didn't sell the first time, and just because it's been on the market for 1,000 days does not mean it's the current realtor's issue.
Yeah.
And it may not even be the past realtor's
It-
issue for that matter.
Right.
Because when I call some of these expired listings and they're not
Yeah.
sold,
Yeah.
some of my first questions are, was it the realtor and their marketing game plan, or is the seller just not willing to come down to a price that the market is dictating?
Because there's always two. I'm glad you said that because there's always two sides to
Yeah.
every story. So
I never judge
yeah,
the
it's like
realtor.
man, because I've spoken to realtors, and as much as they've pleaded or shown their case with all the logic and all the numbers in the world, it's the seller that has actually said, no, I want this and this is how much, I'm not budging.
Yeah.
And then the home sits.
Yep.
It sits and it sits. And then the story is, well, my realtor didn't do their job for me. So, gotta just meet in the middle somewhere.
Just meet in
You
the
have
middle.
an expert in your corner.
You're always going to be in
Yeah.
the middle when you
Yeah.
get a contract.
Right.
I mean, not always. Somebody wins, I guess, if you want to consider it winning.
Right.
It's going to become a compromise some point during the negotiations.
Right.
That much is a fact. And, I see somebody in the corner of my eye right now.
I do see somebody in the corner of my eye.
And he's over there.
And we do
I
have
got
these.
so many questions. This is going to be a great show.
So-
I'm just so interested in the process.
Are we ready to bring them on? Is that the question?
I think I am. I'm inviting every realtor in the world right now
All right. So,
to this watch party.
so
they can rock
everyone,
with us.
please welcome Mr. Grant Lopez himself.
Welcome to the show.
Yes. Good morning,
Welcome, welcome,
Yeah,
welcome.
all right. Good.
Thanks for coming in, sir.
Thank you guys
Yeah,
for having me.
absolutely.
So many questions on my
Awesome,
part.
man. You got here all right?
Yeah, traffic on 281 this morning was something
Oh
else.
no, you
but-
can come down 281.
Oh, I live far up 281. I'm a far north
you're
sider.
good.
So,
So do you want to buy that $1 million house I was just talking about? It's right off of Spring Branch Road, right in Mountain Estates. It's gorgeous. Has
not too
everything
far
for
away.
you.
Like everybody else on the north side, I'll be excited once they get all that construction done.
Yeah.
So that we can
Yeah.
fly through
Was
that.
that like a
area.
6-year project or so, right?
Yeah, I think so. But they're making some good headway on it.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
moving along. As somebody that drives through it every day, I can see the progress happening every single time I turn around. So that's good. I'm just
Yeah.
glad to see progress happening out there because we've needed it for a number of
No,
years.
it was like a death trap at one point.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it was bad. So.
Well, so everybody, this is Grant Lopez.
Good morning.
Welcome, 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 welcome. So tell us about yourself. Who are you outside of being Grant Lopez?
I'm a guy that wears many, many hats. Right now, I am serving as the 2019 chairman to the San Antonio Board of Realtors that we all know as SABOR. But I'm also a realtor. I've been coming up on my 11-year anniversary in April.
I call it Sabor, by the way.
Sabor, yeah. San Antonio, right? But I've been in the industry now about 11 years. A devoted husband, devoted dad. I've got 2 little girls as well. So if we're not working and we're not serving the Realtor Association, then usually we're home buddies and we're at home enjoying our little girls because we don't get enough time to do that these days. So
This industry does take a
So-
lot.
it does take a lot.
Yeah.
Yes,
Oh
it
my
does.
gosh,
Yeah.
yes. And we were talking about the cheating and the divorce and the basketball player.
Do you follow sports?
A little bit, not much. So
Oh,
you might
okay.
know me,
Do
but
you
I
know
know
who
some of the
Tristan
story.
Thompson is?
Yeah, I know who Tristan Thompson
Okay.
is.
Well,
I heard the
You
story.
heard what's going on? Okay.
I like to hear that you're a family man. I like to use the word devoted and
Yeah.
all that because in our industry, I don't know what the nationwide divorce rate is amongst everybody else. I do know that the real estate divorce rate is something like 20% higher than that.
Really? That's interesting.
Yes,
That's interesting.
fact, and it's
Really?
because a lot of realtors get buried in help serving their clients,
Yeah.
and mostly I think it's greed. The almighty
Well, let's
dollar
face it,
just
there's
chasing.
also a lot of social aspect to this industry. There is a lot of happy hours, there's a lot of open house events, wine and cheese events, and so the temptation is out there everywhere. But that's an interesting stat, something I'll have to look into more, because I know it's a
Yes.
conversation that's constantly
Yeah.
happening
And
across
then,
the
and then the conversation also like, how do we change that? How do we fix that? And there's a lot of programs out there, and this is like an accidental plug for the coaching versus for SOAR, and yet that's why we teach to live a balanced life. You gotta
Yeah.
have things right at home,
I was
you
gonna
gotta
say,
have things right at
yeah.
work, you gotta have things right with whatever higher power you believe in.
I was gonna say it's just
And your health.
you have to get better at the time management. You know part.
Everything around you
Yeah,
has to be
it's
balanced.
prioritized.
Time management and communication, I think, is the
Yeah.
key to any relationship, whether that's between two spouses or client and realtor, friend to friend. You've got to have communication established
Right.
and have an open line to be honest with one another,
Right.
communicate your needs and your wants in terms of what you're trying to do at work, what you need to get accomplished at home, and having that two-way street of communication, I think, is vital just for any relationship that you have in your life.
So, back to you being the chairman, how did that come to be? You know, it's funny, I've been also licensed for going on 10 years now.
Yeah.
And selling homes, apartments, all that kind of stuff. And I served as a member of a committee,
Oh, great.
several years ago, I guess, for Sabor. And I just never really went deeper than that.
Okay.
On how you become the chairman or how you become more of a figurehead in our board. So how did that come to fruition for you?
But before you do, tell your story, because Brent is not just the chairman, but he's a young chairman.
Well,
right?
I see that. That's why
Yeah, and
I
so
was asking
the
questions.
perception is, man, at a certain age, you have to be a certain age to achieve certain goals.
Well, the last one we
And
had,
you
we, like,
dispel
brought
that.
in.
Yeah,
You know, she was hired and brought in.
right.
And then now you have just stepped into that role,
Right.
it seems. And last time I checked, you were selling homes at Remax.
Yeah.
Just a realtor.
And still am selling homes for any of my clients out there that might be watching.
Thanks for that clarity. When I
Yeah.
started telling people I was a real estate coach, all of a sudden my friends from high school were like, "Oh, I bought a house with someone else.
Yeah,
It's like,
didn't know
I
you
saw
were
you
selling
flying
real
around.
estate.
I thought you were just a coach." I'm like, "No, I got a team."
I'm still very much here and still selling houses.
He's still selling
Let me tell you.
houses, folks.
The man of many hats.
And that answered my question. So
Yeah.
you just answered it. 'Cause I was curious. Do you
Yeah.
still sell homes? And
Great question, great
Yeah.
how do
question.
you balance that? So anyway,
So going back to your question, first off, thank you for serving on a committee. We need more and more realtors to step up to serve this industry. We are about a little over 11,000, almost 12,000 approaching realtors in the San Antonio area. But when you boil it all down, really there's only about 300 that serve our association in terms of committee and keeping the association running. And there's so much importance to the association other than at just the MLS, which is what I know most people think. That's the only reason the association is around. So thank you for serving. We'd love to get you back on a committee next
Now, is there
year.
a limit of service? Is there a limit of people that can actually serve on the committee?
Some committees are capped, yes. So most of our committees are dictated by our bylaws through the association. So like take our finance committee, for example. I think it's capped at 5 or 6 members and there's a certain makeup. But then there's certain committees like Realtor Builder Committee or YPN that are open and we can put as many people on there as possible. But we need more realtors to step up, so thank you for doing that in the past. We'd love to get you back
Get back in
involved.
there.
And anybody else that's watching, we'd love to get you on the 2020 committee for sure to help keep this association moving forward. But to go back to your question, I got involved with the association back in 2014. I was voluntold for something. There's a program called TRLP, which is Texas Realtors Leadership Program that was established through TAR, which is now called Texas Realtors. And it's a leadership program on what are the associations doing for you at the local, state, and national level. And when I took that program, it was really eye-opening to see how important these associations actually are to making the industry survive and helping us as realtors thrive as we go through, creating our livelihoods.
And I love that you said that. It's about survival versus thriving. That's,
Yeah.
And so it was an eye-opening experience. They challenged us through that program to get more involved. And so that's what I did. I started serving on the MLS committee, went through the vice chair and then the chair the next 2 years on that, and then ran for the board of directors. Got on to that, been on since 2016. And then when the opportunity presented itself last year to serve as the chair-elect, sat down with my wife, we had a good conversation about it because our second daughter was on the way, and we said, okay, it's a lot of responsibility on top of adding a second child in the house. Is this something we're crazy enough to take on? And thankfully we both were. So we signed up for that opportunity, and here I am now as the chair. So it is a very time-intensive responsibility, but it's one I love to take on because anybody that's heard my story has heard that I was brought up by 2 volunteers that constantly were serving in our community. And so it was ingrained in us as children that as you grow up, you serve the community in which you live. And in this case, I'm serving the real estate community because it has been very, very good to me over the last 11 years. And I'm thrilled to have the opportunity to get back to the association and to the industry so that we can elevate ourselves as a whole and keep producing real estate in San Antonio.
I love that. So what does a day in the life of the chairman look like?
It's busy, I'll tell you that. It's got me going nonstop. So today I'm down here representing the association, talking to you guys. Thank you for this opportunity. After this, I'll be at the association speaking at what we call new member orientation with youth group, and every other youth realtor is a member at some point. Yeah, it's a fun day, right? And so I'm going to go and speak to them. And this year, whenever I speak, I always give them 5 different tips I wish I had as a new realtor from an experienced realtor.
Don't compare yourself to.
Know how to fill out a contract properly.
Yeah.
Make sure you're providing CSS feedback, because when you've got the listing, you're going to want the feedback. So
Right.
it's that nice give and take. Make sure you're locking up houses. Make sure you can properly explain option periods and understand timelines for delivering checks. Those types of advice that I want to pass on to the new realtors,
Right.
so that we can get them doing it right out of the gate, because that elevates us all.
That education element is huge too.
Yeah.
We were talking about this yesterday at the office. Newer agents, not sure when the appraisal should be ordered.
Oh,
Is it
yeah.
during the option period? Not if you're protecting your client. Depending on who.
So as much opportunity as we have to educate the new realtors coming in, but also the existing realtors that are already out there that just need the reminder, because the rules change constantly. I mean,
Right.
we just had a rule change not that long ago about the timelines for the option money delivery. So just putting that education out there.
And don't you love that? Because I do remember the law before, and it was basically a timely manner. And then it's like, well, how do you interpret that?
Right.
What if it's Friday? What if it's Thursday? Is
Right,
it timely
right.
manner by Monday?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
the specificity is great.
Mhm.
And I always laugh when I talk to clients about that. I explain to them as we're going through the contract, be it the listing agreement or the contract itself. I'm like, you realize they added a page to this for like every decade or so that we have been in real estate, because all these things have come up.
Yeah, and they're constantly changing. So it's a lot of those opportunities to educate other realtors, but then I'm also attending a lot of committee meetings, a lot of board of director meetings. I'm taking a lot of private meetings for the association where we're meeting with vendors and contractors. And then it's also a lot of travel. The industry hosts a number of events through TAR, through NAR, and other industry-related conferences like Inman Connect, which we just got back from a couple of weeks ago. So it's a lot of traveling on behalf of the association as well, so we can see what's happening industry-wide that we can then bring back to our membership and let them know what's coming down the pipipeline, or what do we need to be prepared for as an industry.
So I love that, and it probably is an answer to my question right now, which is, I've always kind of wondered, where do my board dues go?
It's a great question.
Where do they go? What is it funding? What's the story?
It's a really good question. So first off, it's key to do a breakdown, because everybody thinks all the money they pay into dues is all going to Save More, and that's not correct. Actually, the amount of money you pay throughout the year, what do we pay a year? Probably between MLS and Supra.
Let's
and all-
see, 180 a quarter.
Yeah, right. Your actual dues to Save More, about $86, $87 or so. So everything that you pay throughout the year, only about $86 of that is actually your Save More dues. Another portion is going to TAR, which is again Texas Realtors. So they're keeping a portion above that 86. I don't have those numbers off my head, but I think it's about 136 or so. And then you've got NAR's dues as well. And then the rest of what you're paying throughout the years for the MLS service, along with the Supra services and those items. What the association is turning around and using with those dues is to help run the association. So it's putting on educational events. It's running the association in terms of paying for the personnel that helps provide all the services. It also goes into the services that we use currently, like CSS, MLS, Supra, which are huge tools for us. And a lot of San Antonian realtors don't realize how lucky we are to be in a marketplace where we have those tools not only available to us, but widely used amongst our
And
marketplace.
I can speak to that because I've worked the Austin market before,
Yes.
and they don't all have CSS folks, just so y'all know.
Well, what's funny is when you watch
gotta pay
that
to
conversation,
pay for
a lot of them are upset by things like CSS, because they go, oh no, I'm going to lose control over my listing. And then those of us in marketplaces where we have it as a widely available tool, sorry I was hitting the microphone, we're sitting there going, oh, y'all don't even know what you're missing out on. Because the amount of time we save by being able to just go online and schedule showing and get the approval and get the instructions.
Or what if I
is
don't answer my
huge.
phone because I'm with a client?
Right.
And you have that question.
Exactly.
What do you do?
I was blessed in 2017 to receive a recognition through NAR for 30 under 30, and so that put me in a network full of the other previous alumni of that that award. And so we network a lot and we talk. And I was talking to an agent out of forget what marketplace, but it was a pretty major marketplace on the East Coast. and they were saying they don't even have lock boxes still. So when they go to do a showing, what they have to do is they actually have to call the brokerage, they have to drive to the brokerage, check out the key,
Yeah.
go do the showing, drive back to the brokerage and check it back in, and I'm going, oh, you guys don't even know what you're missing out on. So we're very lucky in San Antonio.
That's
to
going
have these
on
tools.
right
Yes,
now?
it goes back to
2019.
the whole time conversation, right?
Exactly.
It's like, how do you utilize your time? And so you utilize your time in a lot of wasted areas.
Time is
But
money.
yeah, time is money,
Yeah.
especially in this industry. So you're driving and you're trying to do this and then going back over here to do this, and then now we're going back over here to accomplish the overall end goal.
Yeah.
It's like, man, so much time has been wasted, and that's our biggest asset. So
Mhm.
yeah, that's interesting. I'm glad we actually have that.
And
It's a huge benefit to San Antonio.
Yeah.
Now, what are your thoughts on this? I see a lot of different conversations about, well, first of all, I know last year there was a conversation about Austin and San Antonio joining boards, or at least MLSs, that type of thing. And then, of course, now there's a conversation about a nationwide MLS that we can all have access to. What are your thoughts on that?
That's a great question. So first off, I want to make sure everybody's very clear on that. Because yes, that conversation was happening, but it was not a board merger. It was simply an MLS merger. So both associations still would have been separate. You would have still had ABOR in Austin and SABOR in San Antonio, but we would have had a 50-50 ownership in a joint MLS, which I still think would have been a huge benefit for both sets of realtors that we missed out on. But who knows what the future holds? Maybe that conversation will pick back up someday. Excuse me 1 second. My allergies are in full force these days, so I'm sorry to
In
anybody
San
at all.
Antonio, it was like it's unavoidable. But by the way, my son's doctor said to get some Texas-based honey. You may have already heard this.
Yeah.
Just pour it under your tongue, let it soak in. He's been doing fine.
Okay.
Like talk about homeopathic.
Yeah,
Hey.
I'll have to try that. So going back to the MLS, it's a trend you're going to see nationwide, and it's already happening. We're very, very lucky right now in San Antonio and in Texas as a whole that we're in this bubble where we have these major MLS conglomerates that cover vast areas. So typically in a market like San Antonio, you're mainly a member of one MLS, maybe two if you're stretching towards the New Braunfels area or the Kerrville area. But for the most part, you've only got the one major MLS. Same thing with like in Austin and Houston and Dallas, okay? But in most places throughout the country, that's not the case. So if you look up the East Coast or Chicago or New York, a lot of those agents are a part of more than 5 MLS or boards at a time, which means they're spending an arm and a leg to get their MLS services. There's a national conference called CMLS that takes place every year. It's where all the MLSs across the country gather to talk about MLS as a whole. It's very exciting. But going into it, when I was the vice chair, the chair for the MLS committee here at SABOR, had an opportunity to attend that conference. And I was talking to some agents there, and I had one agent who told me they were part of 12 different MLSs in order to run their business. And the amount of money they were paying was astronomical. And so what you're seeing across the country right now is a major consolidation of MLSs happening nationwide. The year I was there, which was probably 2015 or so, I think there was about 1,200 MLSs that year, or the previous year, and then the year I was there was down to 800 already. Our chair-elect for San Antonio right now attended the conference last year, and she told me the number is now down to around 465. There has been that much consolidation of MLSs nationwide already, and that number is going to continue to grow. And my prediction is that sometime in our very near future, it could be 5, 10, 15 years, but somewhere in the foreseeable future, we will see MLSs in Texas get consolidated to probably about 4 major MLSs. You're going to have HAR, that's covering Houston, all that area. You're going to have Metro Tex, which covers Dallas and the Collin County area, ABOR, and then hopefully San Antonio, which is covering the southern region. But I do think it's going to happen at some point. And so we need to position ourselves now so that we are ready for that consolidation in the future. Because what we don't want to happen is for one of these other large MLSs to come in and dictate how we need to run our data here in San Antonio.
And I love our MLS, by the way, because I've used other systems.
It is fantastic.
I logged in and I'm like, what am I coding now just to put a listing up?
It's amazing the provider we use, and they're right in our backyard. They're in Austin. It's a company called Dyna Connections. They service us and the Chicago area.
They are awesome.
And it's a fantastic product. And the benefit, the real big benefit to using a smaller MLS provider who's local to Texas is that it's so easy for us to make changes. You guys have seen changes in the MLS, and our MLS committee does, I think, quarterly what we call design reviews. So if you're a realtor out there watching and you see something that you would like added to MLS, you can always provide that feedback into the association. And at that next quarterly design review, we actually sit down with the owner and the design guy or dine-in connections, and we can provide those suggestions to them. And they're very quick about turning those around and implementing them so that we can continue to make that system better for our members versus going with a really, really large company. We might not have that ease and accessibility to the designer and the owner to say this would be better service for our membership if we could implement these ideas. And so it's a fantastic product, you're right, Patrick.
Now, so you talked about the consolidation of the MLSs and the astronomical fees that you spoke of. One realtor had 12.
Mhm.
Who had 12 MLS points, and so by consolidating, is there a savings for the agent when this consolidation actually hits? And what does the average look like when that actually happens?
It's a great question, and yes, ideally there should be a savings, because if you're paying less MLS, less fees to different MLSs, then overall you're going to be paying less fees, which is a good thing. We
Right.
want to keep more money in the realtors' pockets in order to run their business. So yes, the idea is as these MLSs consolidate, the realtor in those markets is not then having to join 5, they're only having to join 1, and they're actually getting better data at that point because it's all consolidated and they can better serve their consumer in their
Right.
marketplace. In terms of what would the average savings be, it's hard to say right now because every marketplace is different. Everybody charges different for their MLS services and the different tools they provide. So that's a hard one to answer, but I do think there will be a savings in the future, especially for the San Antonio and Austin agents and even the New Braunfels agents that might be members of 1, 2, or all 3 of our MLS providers.
So we fairly recently, I feel like, you guys acquired us, was we think. We acquired a few more counties or cities. Where do you see Sabor going outside of Bexar County in the near future?
Well, we currently cover 9 counties right now around it. So our jurisdiction is pretty large in terms of the areas that we cover for MLS and what Sabor provides services to. And I think the future is going to be more growth for San Antonio and for the associations around us. The reason we like the growth, especially to the smaller areas around us, is we can then turn around and provide better service to those realtors by opening up Supra to them, CSS, the education that the association provides, and a big portion of what the association does is advocacy on behalf of homeowners to protect private property rights and to protect us, the realtors, against the legislation that comes down that tries to tax us and change the industry. And so we can push our services out to those surrounding areas that want to join forces. And I think a lot of the smaller areas around us are seeing the benefit in that. They're going, you know what, there is some benefit and nowadays to having access to these tools, because if they had to go out there and buy those tools on their own, it would be much more expensive, versus if they can join into our membership and economies of scale, we can provide those tools to them at a much cheaper cost, and then we can also throw our weight behind them to help them when it comes to advocacy and government affairs.
So pay those tree pack dues too. Pay the
Tree pack is so important, and it's one of those things that so many realtors don't understand, but it is vital towards protecting our industry and protecting our consumers. I'm glad you brought it up.
Yeah. Is that the part? It seems optional, or like it's not optional. Pay it.
Hey, technically it is optional, but we would love you to pay it.
It's optional.
The minimum that we ask, what Texas calls the fair share investment, we ask for realtors to invest $40 in a tree pack. And if you're not familiar with tree pack, it's the Texas Real Estate Political Action Committee, or it might be the Texas Realtors Political Action Committee. Don't quote me on it.
Tomatoes about.
Either way, they go to bat for us.
100%. And a great example of that I give a lot is during the last legislative session, there was a big push to still try to pass what we call a transfer tax on real estate in Texas. And there was talks of it being as high as 1%. So think of that. Every time your seller sold a property, on top of commissions, on top of title policy, property taxes, HOA, repairs, home warranties, then they're also going to be charged a 1% transfer tax to go back to the state. How many deals would that actually affect us in San Antonio, especially being that we are a very large VA city, and you get a lot of these VA military people that bought 0 down 2 years ago, then all of a sudden they get their orders. And we know San Antonio, it's appreciating in value, but at a steady pace. We are not a market of very highs and big lows. We steadily grow, which means you need, on average, probably about 2 to 3 years to get to that break-even point before you start building equity. So now if we're going to add a 1% transfer tax on top of that, how many deals is that going to lose us throughout the year? How many consumers are going to be negatively affected by that? Thankfully, through the powers of organizations like TreePack, they were able to make a big major push at the legislative level in the last session to make that a constitutional ban so that they cannot ever pass that transfer tax. And that is protecting our industry, that is protecting our consumers, and that is what your $40 minimum investment goes towards every year, to protect us and to protect the consumer. And so we ask you as a minimum to do the 40, but if you really value this career that you are building and your livelihood, then we encourage you to go more.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of levels out there. You've got the major investor, which is $1,000. You've got the crystal, which is $2,500. You've got golden, which is $5,000, and you've got platinum, which is $10,000. Okay, and we've actually got 4 platinum investors in our San Antonio area right now. We've got Deanne Harper with Coldwell Banker. You've got both the Keller Williams Heritage and City View offices. So thank you, Craig Owen, for your investments there.
Shout out to
You've
Craig.
got Kimberly Howe with Kimberly Howe Properties,
Wow,
who is a
Kimberly too.
platinum. And we've got a number of golden R's, which is the $5,000 a year investor realtors. I think at the major investor level, we've got, I think last year, 70 realtors that have given at least $1,000 more at the major investor level. So those are realtors that are really stepping up to the plate and saying, I value this industry, I value my career, and I want to protect it. And when you think about it, as just regular people, we carry homeowners insurance, we carry car insurance, we carry life insurance. Why is somebody who has so much invested in real estate, are we not carrying insurance to protect our industry?
Right.
And that is what TreePack is. It is an insurance to protect your livelihood and to protect the consumers that you serve on a daily basis.
Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong. I recall a tax that they were attempting to put on us realtors on our vehicles.
Yep.
Not too long ago.
Yeah, they're trying to tax commissions, they're trying to tax cars, you know, and that's what's being talked about this legislative session. It is a tax on professional services, and we might be lumped into a professional service, which means we might be subject to a tax there. And so again, that is what's happening right now. We are about, I think, 6 or 7 weeks into our legislative session right now, and coming up at the end of March, don't quote me, I think it's March 26th, we do what's called the Realtor Hill Visit, or the Day at Austin, whatever it's called.
Yeah.
Where we're gonna bust.
You don't have to know what it's called as long as you're there.
Yeah, just be there, because what we do is we gather realtors from across the state and we bring them up to the Capitol to meet with our representatives so that we can have our input on the bills that are trying to be passed that could be detrimental to our industry or to the consumers we serve. So look that up at savewar.com.
Now, is anybody
Register
welcome
for
to
it.
go? You register?
Yeah, if you're a realtor, I think there's a small fee for it. I want to say it's like $15, and that's to help us cover the cost of the bus, and it provides lunch and some beverages on the way back from Austin. So it's a great event if you haven't been there. It's a one-day event. It's not going to be detrimental to your business if you step away from one day to go up to the Hill to advocate on behalf of this industry and the consumer. So I encourage everybody to sign up for it. It is very beneficial to us to have as many realtors there as we possibly can.
We've got realtors, coaches, and everybody across the country right now listening to
Yeah.
us.
Oh, that's
Just
great.
a record from California to New Jersey. I'm sitting here looking, and we've got a mortgage person right here. Great info from Mortgage Pros too.
Yes.
So
Good.
I'm loving all this information.
And hey, you know, speaking of Mortgage Pros, we can also have people from outside of the industry invest in TreePack. And we've got lenders here that have invested in TreePack over the years. So your mortgage pro that's listening, you can be an advocate on behalf of realtors and property owners too, and join TreePack as well.
I love it. Look, you guys heard it here. You
So
guys
some
can
numbers,
pick it up.
right? We hear the amount of people that are coming to San Antonio, that are choosing San Antonio as a place to reside. What are some analytics from 2018 to transition into 2019? What are we seeing in that regard?
Well, we're still seeing growth. It's at a steady pace. I don't think this is going to be the white hot year that we've experienced the last couple years where it's multiple offers and 10,000 over asking the very first day. But that does not mean the market is slowing down tremendously. We are still seeing a lower supply of inventory. We're hovering around 3 months worth of inventory right now, which is a great level of inventory for San Antonio. There is still a lot of buyer demand out there, and so the mix of the two is still causing a steady increase in pricing, which really, I prefer a steady increase to a rapid increase. Because
Yes.
going through that rapid increase, that's what causes those bubbles. So we're lucky in San Antonio to be in a very healthy economic climate where the prices are going up at a steady enough pace that it's keeping the market healthy.
Yeah, I love that because it seemed like fun for us listing agents when that was happening.
Oh yes, it's great fun.
And yet it's not fun for the consumer. And I would rather see a steady 200 to 500 healthy range where more families can get into a home and into home ownership and the American dream.
And really, that's the great thing about
Price
San
gouging.
Antonio is we've got the big city living, but without the big city price tag. When you
Right.
compare us to the other metroplexes
Right.
in the Texas area, Dallas, Austin, Houston, it's getting so expensive there now that we're starting to see more in-state migration happening from these other major marketplaces where people go, look, I love Texas and I want to be in Texas, but I just can't afford those other markets right now. And San Antonio is a great place to call home right now.
So
It
what if-
sure is. The commute to Austin is not that bad.
It's
Yeah,
really
it's
not.
not. It's really
And
not.
I'm seeing just personally more and more clients that are working in Austin but living in San Antonio.
So,
and even in St.
If you guys are
Louis.
thinking about buying a home in Austin, stop and just buy it here. And buy it there. No.
So we've been hearing, so sales prices are declining, but is that true? Are sales prices, have you seen an incremental change in that on a negative scale or positive?
You know, real estate is so local, it changes area per area, so you
Okay.
really have to boil it down. I would say as a whole, real estate is still going up, definitely. I would say across the city as a whole, you would see an increase in pricing in 2019. It's just gonna be a steady increase. It's not gonna be the big jump. In certain areas, you might still have that big jump, but that's the key point for people that are looking at buying and selling, is sit down with a good local realtor who knows your marketplace. Because
Yes.
real estate is so localized that just because someone is licensed to sell in Texas, I would not be doing my due diligence and my best customer service if I was servicing somebody in Houston when I don't know that
Oh,
market.
man, I gotta
So
tell you
meet
that.
with a good local realtor who knows your zip code, who knows your neighborhood, who knows your area that you're buying or selling in. That way you can get the best service possible.
And you hit the nail on the head. It can be hyper local, right?
Yes.
Even to one neighborhood. You know,
Absolutely.
there's some neighborhoods where the days on market, the average is 120,
Mhm.
and then there's others where you're still flying off the shelf. which
Yes,
is-
exactly. And so
especially
if
area.
you're not a realtor that's familiar with that, or you're not a consumer that's working with somebody that understands that, it can be confusing because you're exactly right. There's areas that 120 might be the average, and then there's areas where 10 days might be the average. That doesn't mean one area is better than another. You just have to sit down and understand the data that's out there so that you know what you're looking at.
You know what's crazy is I recently sold my personal home back in December, I guess.
Okay.
And my neighborhood, the average was about 40 days on market. Right across the street, newer homes too, their average is 120 days.
Yep.
Across the street, gated community and everything. I'm like, oh.
And that's a great point, you know, and I have to
That is-
discuss that with
yeah.
sellers all the time, especially when I go into neighborhoods where there's still a lot of new construction happening. And so Chad, you might run into this where you have somebody that's bought in your neighborhood, you guys are still developing over the next several years, but they
Yes.
might have to move in a year.
Yes.
And so then they're sitting down with us as a realtor going, okay, I heard the market's really good, everything's selling in 30 days, and then we have to do that education of, yes, that's true, the market is really well, but sometimes when I'm competing against a builder in the same neighborhood, it might take us a little bit longer because we're competing against the allure of the model home and the
Right.
incentives that the builders have to offer. It doesn't mean we can't get your home sold, it just means it might take a little bit of extra time sometimes.
Exactly.
But having the realtor that can sit down with you and educate you on what's happening in your neighborhood is key to having a successful transaction.
And that is one of my.
I'm glad you said that because I do try and set the expectations.
Mhm.
Because knowing that situation, and we try to encourage even VA, because typically the VA buyer that needs to move within a year, 2 years, having them understand whenever you do go to sell that home, to sell that property, you still are going up against a new build that
Exactly.
is selling the home at the same price of what you're trying to get out of it.
Yes.
I'll tell you, there's something you said there that is so vital, and I think too many people are missing out on in the industry, and it's setting the expectation. If you're a realtor, a mortgage lender, a car salesperson, whatever you're doing, setting the expectation is key to having a happy client. Because if you can let them know upfront of, hey, this is what the process looks like, and this is what you're going to experience,
Right.
and they already know it's coming, it makes it so much easier as you're going through
Yes.
those hurdles.
The
And
percent-
too many people
Yeah.
make it rainbows and butterflies, say, oh, it's going to be magic.
And that's
it's gonna
the
be so
perception
quick,
of customer
you're gonna
service,
go. Yes.
right? So we perceive customer service to be all bubbly,
Mhm.
customers always right, tell them what they want to hear, but truthfully, the best form of customer service is setting that proper expectation,
Yes.
good or bad.
Oh
Yes.
man,
Because
let
you're
me.
setting them up for success.
I've got a story for you too.
I love this
I
story.
upset a I don't care to work with home seller yesterday because I was helping out a newer agent,
Mhm.
and so we sat down with this gentleman, and he straight up told us that he chose to hire another realtor because that realtor told him what he wanted to hear. That's what came out of his own mouth.
Yeah.
He's telling me what I want to hear. And so usually I say, you know, heaven forbid your home doesn't sell. Please do reach out to us. We've been, you know, we gave you the truth, the fiduciary truth
Mhm.
about what your home will sell for. And this time I was a little bit like, this isn't cool what he just did and said, and he said it himself. So I told him, I said, when your home does not sell with that agent, give us a call. No heaven forbids in there at that time.
Yeah.
It was when it does.
Because that goes back to your original conversation. If those days on market were not, there's somebody else's. Yeah.
Because the reality is, we're commission only sales,
Right.
people, professionals, service professionals.
Right.
And I wish the general public at times would realize that if a realtor is willing to walk away from selling your home, we don't get paid. We're not on a salary.
Yeah,
we're not.
And so we're probably telling you the truth about that value.
And you're exactly right. That happens too often, to the point that we have a term for it in the industry called buying the listing. You'll say whatever you need to in order to get your sign in the yard so you can collect leads and all that.
Right.
And we have to have that honest conversation with sellers sometimes. Is look, I'm not here to just tell you what you want to hear. I'm here to help you sell your home.
Yes.
And I have to be honest with you if I'm going to be able to accomplish your
Legally,
goals. Yes,
by the
exactly.
way.
I have a fiduciary responsibility.
Yeah.
And so we've got to work really hard with our colleagues in this industry to elevate our profession. We've got too many quote-unquote disruptors out there right now, and the way we as this industry survive and succeed over those disruptors is by elevating ourselves and pushing each other to become better professionals, educate our clients, educate ourselves, raise our standards. That's how we come out ahead and survive against these disruptors.
I'm glad you say that because,
Education.
yes, so from an educational standpoint, because you brought it up multiple times during our conversation, what tools can a new realtor that's had no previous sales experience, no previous service experience, tap into as a new realtor here in San Antonio, just in general?
The best
what
tools
is it-
available
what
to
is it-
you is other realtors. Get a coach, get a mentor, shadow somebody. When I first got into this industry, that's what I would always do. I would ask people, I'd go to my office and I found out who were the most successful listing agents in the office. I'd say, can I just shadow you? I'll pay you to let me come shadow you and see how you do your listing, see how you do your comps, see how you show properties. What are the conversations you have? And that is the biggest resource that so many realtors don't tap into. And believe it or not, realtors, for the most part, we're friendly people. We want to help each other.
Right.
And if you're in an office that's all about collaboration, then I highly recommend you go knock on those agents' doors that have been doing this 5 or 10 years and are making a living out of it and say, what can I learn from you? Can I just share some time with you to find out how I can elevate myself
That's
and better
exactly
serve my
what I
clients?
did. When I got in this industry, I attempted to reinvent the wheel.
Mhm.
And I always say it because it's the truth. I was looking to make a hoverboard, and then I ended up straight in the food stamp line for a good half of my career.
Yeah.
And then when I joined Keller Williams, I went in there and walked around and I just asked a couple agents questions, and of course they wanted me to take them out to lunch. When you pick somebody's brain, you gotta take them to lunch. And
We are an industry that likes to eat. Yes, we are.
yes. If you don't sell one home, you will be fed at least. So I picked their brains and I just took a little bit of what each one of them had to say to me, and then I implemented what I wanted to implement, and it helped me blow up. I went from a sporadic 12 homes a year to 40 in 90 days.
Let me tell y'all, the biggest myth out there in real estate is that for some reason we're all competing against each other. Let me tell you, there is about 30,000 transactions in San Antonio every year on average. Most of those are double-sided, so about 68,000 opportunities to sell a property with 12,000 agents. And the reality is most of those agents aren't really selling that much real estate. So really there is a lot of opportunity for realtors to sell in San Antonio. This should not be a me versus you or them versus me situation. We should all be working together to bring this industry up and learn from one another and share ideas and foster growth because again, that's what elevates our industry as a whole and what protects us going into the future.
I love people popping up because now we've got an apartment
We pay with
manager
the
as
30
well.
days.
We pay with the 30 days.
Good stuff, good stuff.
Buying or renting? No, we're pushing for the buy, and yet reach out to Lena. She got you on an apartment if you're not in that realm yet, guys. Too funny.
Going back to your question, channel, what are some other resources? Especially since I'm here wearing the chairman's hat today, I've got to plug the association. Our association provides so much education opportunities for realtors to tap into. We've got great instructors. For those of you that don't know, we have our own real estate school at Sabor. It's called the Realtor Academy, and there's a ton of education opportunities there every year for people to take advantage of. And there's also a lot of free events. You can join YPN. They do a ton of education at YPN. I know they had a Wake Up YPN event yesterday, and they brought in a nationally recognized realtor who shared ideas with our local folks here on ways to boost their business. So there's a lot of opportunity at the association, and for those that aren't aware, we actually have 2 offices. We've got our main location off of I-10, and we've got our service center, which is out off of 35 across from the Forum in the Shirt Sella area.
That's the one that's by me, and I'm so happy it's up there.
Yeah, and hopefully in the future, we're gonna have even more service centers around the area that can serve our membership. That way, anytime they're needing a lockbox or they need an MLS question that they need answered in person, they don't always have to drive into the medical center. And any service we can provide at our main office off of I-10, you can take advantage of at the service center, including lock boxes, anything you need from the realtor store, you can do at our service center as well.
So I guess if you guys didn't know that, it's right over there. What is it, by the...
Right across from the Forum, it's right next to Chewy's.
Yeah, Chewy's.
There's
Pluckers. Pluckers right there. Yeah.
So if you guys want to get something to eat too, you can get a good meal to eat.
Told you can eat. In real estate, you will eat.
You will be fed.
Yes,
You
you
will.
will, yeah.
Matter of fact, I got fed yesterday, even though that guy...
So I'm glad you said that. So for those listening in, if you are a realtor getting into the industry, this is your first time, there are resources that you can tap into, but it's up to you to do it.
That's
so,
exactly right.
And Grant, thanks for coming on the show. We typically wrap it up right about, if you've watched any of it, it's we started at 8:15ish, and we ended about 9ish. And yeah, everybody's been chiming in. I've been loving the questions that have been coming across too, and the viewership.
Real quick, before I get the boot, let me just say.
Hey man, you can stay as long as you want.
Okay, we're good.
You can stay as long as you want for 8 more minutes.
As your chairman in 2019, I try to be accessible. My goal this year, along with our board of directors, is to open up the communication. So we are pushing out as much communication as we possibly can to our membership to let them know what is happening at the association. At the end of the day, our members, people like you, Patrick, that are due paying realtor members, you are our boss, so we are responsible to you. So we're pushing out as much communication out there as possible, and then leaving it up to you guys to digest what you want. But we're also trying to open up our transparency and make it as clear as possible what we're doing with your dues dollars that we talked about earlier. So we're pushing out as a lot of that as we can. We've got chairman chat scheduled quarterly so that I can sit down with membership and they can provide their feedback to me, and I can let them know what's happening at the association. You can follow us on Facebook. I've also got a chairman's page that's about to go up this week. That way people can get updates from me on what's happening with the association. So if we're not friends on Facebook, find me and then follow the chairman's page, which will launch by the end of the week. My email is chairman@saveword.com. Super easy to remember. Just email me. I will get back to you as quickly as possible. And I'll go one step further and even give you my cell phone number. It's 210-865-6129. You're welcome to call me. You're welcome to text me. A lot of our my wife is always going, okay, you need to get off the phone now. It's a little late. But she is super supportive of it, and it allows me an opportunity to just be communicative and transparent with our membership. And so if we have not met yet in person, hopefully we'll get that opportunity to meet throughout the year. I'd love to get all of our members more involved at Sable and all the happenings that are going on there.
And for those of you guys that are watching, if you want to know who's
the red shirt
this
is,
this is Derek. This is Detail. This is the creator of this visionary podcast network, and we really appreciate him being here all the time. You have to step off.
Yeah, come on. You been
already
on.
on.
Yeah, we told you out. Come
Might
on.
as well come in and shake our guest hand.
What's up, man? Welcome.
Oh man, please let the audience see that shirt. That's the best. Psalm 37:4. That's not what it says. It doesn't say catch up with Jesus.
Yeah, catch up
However,
with
I
Jesus.
love that. Catch up with Jesus. Man, that's that well-balanced life I was talking about earlier that leads to success in this industry.
Absolutely.
Man, Grant, I really appreciate talking to you and getting to meet you, as a matter of fact. I don't know how we haven't, or maybe we have been on the other side of the deal. That's the joys of being successful and having teams and all that kind of fun stuff. I know I've done business with, I believe you're still with the Schrager.
Oh yeah,
right?
very much with them.
It's definitely done business. If you haven't done business with the Schrager Group, you're probably not selling home. Honestly, fact. And so I just thought it was very interesting because I really was curious. I guess not curious enough to pick up the phone, and yet you came on the show, so now I know.
Hey,
You
any
can be a
opportunity
chairman,
I
you can be a
get to
realtor,
chat with our realtor
Yeah.
members or to present information, I'm happy to do so. I thank you guys for the opportunity. I love that you guys are doing this podcast and pushing out extra information. I know you had Open Door on earlier this week. I haven't watched it yet, but I'm curious to watch it.
Watch it.
I've got some meetings set up with them later this month to sit down with them and get
Awesome.
some more education. But thank you guys for the
And
opportunity.
we
It's my
have
pleasure.
kind of sparked it and said, man, just be proactive because obviously, you know, the word on the street is Open Door is not here to work with realtors, and so they came on the show and kind of dispelled a lot of beliefs.
You know, and that's the truth. And I've talked to a lot of our membership about that. If I've got just a couple more minutes about, you know, when we have these quote unquote disruptors. I'm not a fan of that term because what they're doing, it's not a new model. Buy low, sell high. It's not anything new. They've just got millions of dollars of marketing behind them. All these iBuyers do. It's not just Open Door. It's all of them. It's a model that's been around. It's just widely being used right now on a national scale. But it's not necessarily a threat. It's just a different way of doing business. And so I encourage realtors to take the opportunity to get educated on it so that you can have an educated conversation with your consumer on the different options out there and where you differentiate yourself, not only from the iBuyers, but from the other realtors in town as well. So, you know, I've encouraged a lot of our realtors, if you don't know how that process works, go on Open Door or OfferPad or any of the other ones and type in your own property to see how that process works so that you understand, and then you can turn around and have that conversation with other realtors and consumers.
I feel like that show really changed a lot of perspectives from a lot of realtors that were watching that show.
Yeah.
I did have a realtor that I was talking to yesterday, and I just said, look, they're designed to be a tool.
Yeah.
You have a tool belt, just imagine a tool belt around you. If you want to stick that in the very back of your tool belt, stick it in there, but it's designed to be a tool and have those educated conversations.
I'll tell you what,
And that's exactly right. It's just
Yeah.
another tool for the
Yeah.
consumer, and you know, competition or innovation breeds competition, or however that goes. And so it's good to have these other options out there, you know, so that people have more options, and it helps push us to raise our industry standards and to educate and serve our clients better. And so I'm glad you guys had them on. I think we as realtors need to take more opportunity to get that education on iBuyers or any other disruptors out there so that we understand what is available to our consumer and how do we provide value as realtors to set ourselves apart.
That's right.
Exactly.
That is exactly right. It's all up to you. It's up to you. It's up to me. It's up to us. So if you guys feel like you're getting disrupted, maybe you need to change it. Raise your game. Step up your standards. No one's gonna put me out of business. I know that. Oh man, thank you so much for coming on
Thank
the
you
show.
guys. I appreciate the
So much.
opportunity. Greatly. It's been a
Thank
pleasure.
And if you thought you could not get in touch with Grant, well, voila, he's here.
Now
He
you
is
know.
accessible. Yes.
I'm available. I've got my phone. I've only got one missed call, so that's pretty darn good.
You want to try to sign off with us? Aloha, mahalo, and everything in between.
Yeah,
Peace.
come on, man.
All right, guys. So, like we're gonna sign off like we always do. Aloha, mahalo, and everything in between. Peace. Thanks for watching.
I was a little slow on that sign off.
Oh, you're good.
Let me just jump in here. Hello, everybody.